Hey guys, Mike here, welcome back to my channel. Sorry I haven't done a video for a while in terms of pop culture explanation, but I have been putting my podcast up, which you can check out as well. Today I want to do a video all about the brand new Pixar movie, Turning Red, and unfortunately, why it's really overrated. Let's get into it. Okay, so a couple of months ago, I think, I did a video called Why Encanto is Overrated, talking about the brand new Disney movie on Disney Plus, Encanto, and why I genuinely thought it wasn't a very good movie, particularly based on what I know Disney is capable of making. And this isn't the first time I've done a why so-and-so movie is overrated video, but it certainly got a lot of response for my channel. Lots of comments, lots of people really angry, but lots of people in support, and I promise you I'm not making this video to just kind of continue this trend of my videos being like why the current Disney release is overrated, but Turning Red is overrated, guys, and I really want to talk about it because watching this movie, I was so confused. I genuinely can't understand why this movie gets overwhelming reviews, like overwhelmingly positive reviews rather. And I feel like we're at this point now where a lot of movie critics just give Disney and Pixar movies really good reviews just because they are made by that studio, but they're not actually as good as I think they need to be to get those scores. And I'm totally neutral on numerically valuing art. I think art and movies and music and video games and whatever pop culture artifact you're consuming is totally subjective. And if you like this movie, awesome. I don't think it's a bad movie. I just think it's a really overrated movie. I don't think we should give scores to pop culture, but I just wanted to talk about why I don't think this movie is very good. And in terms of Pixar movies, I've gone back a lot to talk about how I think Coco and Luca are probably the best output from the studio in quite some time. And interestingly, many of the most recent Disney and Pixar movies do focus predominantly on family trauma as opposed to having like a big traditional villain character that is an obvious bad guy. It's more about passed down tradition and trauma. You know, you see that in Coco, you see it a bit in Luca, and you see it in Encanto, and again, you see it in Turning Red. Turning Red is directed by Domi Shi, who also directed the Pixar short film Bao, which I think played before Coco, but I could be wrong. I can't quite remember exactly what it was. And she does a really good job capturing her own heritage and her own experiences in this film. It is kind of like a semi-autobiographical film, you know, with all the fantasy elements added in. And this movie essentially sees this girl, and when she is really anxious or emotionally overwhelmed, she becomes a giant red panda. It's an uncontrollable force, and it turns out that all the women in her family historically have this, and over time they have had to restrain the red panda in certain objects, you know, necklaces, rings, and etc., and stop that panda from coming out. And as the movie goes on, we see our main character try to restrain it, but not want to restrain it, but also be pressured to restrain it by her parents. And I kind of enjoyed that, yeah, the family pressure thing, particularly in what I can see in Asian and European families like myself. There is a lot of family pressure, family tradition, and parents. And I think that's a really good theme to explore. There's also a lot of links to puberty and growing up and becoming a woman or becoming a man, but predominantly in this film becoming a woman. And I don't know, I think there's some illusionary thematic links between the giant red panda and menstruation, which I did feel jilted on because it's not something that has ever been in a Pixar film before. And that doesn't mean that I think Pixar shouldn't do that, because at the heart of it, and I think sometimes we forget that Disney and Pixar films are children's films. They are not films made for adults. They are films that children really like, but adults can get into them as well because there's a lot of adult thematic content. Look at a movie like Soul. Like, I struggle to see how kids are getting more out of that than adults because of its thematic content. And I think this was a really interesting direction for Pixar to take. The first time going into that, they did definitely dabble a lot into mental health and emotion in Inside Out in a really generalized way, like literally having the emotions as characters, right? And I'm not sure if this quite hit the mark, because I didn't really think, and I can already see a lot of people saying, oh, like, you're a really bloody conservative commentator. Like, I'm not conservative at all, but I just thought, knowing that the target demographic for this film is like very young kids, especially with the art style, I just wasn't sure if it was the right space to explore those particular themes. And I just wasn't sure if children would grasp the kinds of content that it was discussing. And I guess it doesn't really matter, because children are just watching the movie and seeing the big fluffy panda and learning the songs to Four Town, the boy band in the movie that is, I guess based on like One Direction or Backstreet Boys, which is a cool real life pop culture illusion. And I enjoyed that a lot, and I thought the music was really fun, and I thought the characters were really fun in how they were like these young girls who were like fangirls of this band, and that was awesome. But yeah, I just didn't know if that thematic content was necessary to explore. Well, I guess it was necessary, but I don't know if they nailed it in exactly the way they should have. I just didn't think it was that profound in its commentary. I do think there's something to say in this passed down family trauma and passed down family tradition of what you do. And obviously at the end, our lead character decides, no, I'm not restraining my inner panda. I'm just going to be me. And if the panda comes out, it comes out, which I guess is another commentary on like anxiety or letting your emotions out, or feeling all of your feelings and feeling all of your emotions. But again, I'm not 100% sure, and I think that's where I think it kind of misses the mark, because I think the giant red panda being somewhat linked to, a woman's coming of age, I wasn't sure if it was supposed to reflect that or if it was supposed to reflect repressed emotion, but I guess it kind of could be both, but I just wasn't sure of what the exact message was there and what they were trying to say specifically. And then I think, well, you're just overanalyzing a film that is specifically designed for children to enjoy and see a big fluffy panda and be like, this is awesome, and you're an adult that's trying to read too much into it. But I don't doubt that these things were intentionally put in by the director. Overall, what I think is that it just doesn't quite spell out what its message is. And sometimes that's not a bad thing. Like, I think that Soul really tried too hard to make its message really explicit. I also think that Inside Out did that as well. But this one might have been a little bit too vague. That being said, I really liked the cartoony animation style as opposed to previous Pixar films that involve humans, particularly something like Soul or The Incredibles, where they're supposed to move around like real people, so they're very fluid in their animation, whereas in this one there's a lot of cartoony styled animation. It's much more vibrant. It's not like natural lighting. It's really cartoony and animated, and I quite enjoyed the style. And don't get me wrong, I thought this was like a fun movie, and I think kids would really like it, but yeah, in terms of, as someone who likes to analyze the meaning behind pop culture and what this is trying to say, I didn't think it was particularly clear. And I do think that a lot of the most recent Pixar movies have been like human focused, I suppose. Whereas like, I guess when I was growing up, it was Toy Story, Bug's Life, Monsters Inc., WALL-E, Ratatouille, and I'd love to see a anthropomorphic animal or thing return in a future Pixar movie. That being said, Turning Red is a fun movie. There's a lot of commentary on friendship, growing up, family trauma, expectations, and I froth all of that. I've had all of that in my childhood as well, so I didn't hate this. I just think it's a little bit overrated, and I still don't think Pixar is hitting the mark that they used to hit time and time again. But then I also think maybe you're just growing up, you're an adult now, and these movies don't appeal to you as much as they did when you were a kid, and you don't have the nostalgia factor. It could be that as well. I'm not pretending to know everything here. But that's pretty much it. Those are my thoughts on Turning Red. Let me know how wrong I am in the comments below, and let me know how right I am. Thumbs up, subscribe. I do a bunch of videos just like this talking about different pop culture things, and I really enjoy that, and I'd love for you to jump along too. I also do a podcast on this channel, 20th Century Boy, which you can find on Spotify as well. So if you want to hear more of me talking about stuff, go and listen to that podcast, either here or wherever you like to listen to podcasts. Guys, I'll catch you in another video. See you later.